What's up, Harley Roxx here from Rock Rage Radio, here with Eric of Jane's Addiction. What's up, man?
How you doing? How you doing?
Doing awesome. Enjoying this hot day in Texas right now. Uh,
The same in Cali.
oh, yep, yeah. We were just out there about a month ago, actually, out in LA.
Nice.
Yeah, which that's where you guys formed back in '85, right?
Yeah, yeah, something
Oh,
like
wow.
that. Yeah.
Cool, cool. Well, let's get right into it. So, you play bass for Jane's Addiction. Who are some of your influences that kind of made you want to play bass over maybe another instrument?
Well, actually, that just sort of turned out to be a kind of happenstance thing initially because I initially began learning how to play guitar because my father had an acoustic guitar around in the house. He doesn't play, but like he had one. And so I was tinkering like that. And then the kids in the neighborhood, these friends of mine, two brothers, one was a drummer and one was a guitar player. They then also had a bass around. And so they decided sort of that the new guys should start playing bass to fill in that spot for them. So that's how I sort of fell into it. That's the first time I ever took a bass into my hands and then sat in my house and played a bass was that because I remember I tuned that bass. I so poorly understood what bass was at that point that I tuned the string all the way up far past what a bass string would ever do, and it just snapped and startled
Whoops.
me. But yeah, so that's how I sort of fell into it, and it was also supported by the fact that I lived next door to a family band that all lived in the same house and practiced in the living room of the house. And like when I say a family band, I mean like there were three separate horn players, congas, vibes, guitar, bass, drums. Like it was a huge family, and they all played an individual instrument. And the drummer sort of took me under his wing. I'm at this point I'm like 12, 13 years old, and he took me around that room and was showing me all the instruments, and it was all sort of new to me at that point. And when he demonstrated the bass, it was a big stack, like the sort of classic SVT is called bass stack, that like, every punk band ever has played through, rock bands play through.
Wow.
And he plucked a string on a bass that was just sitting there, an E string. And it was the first time I heard that sound, that scale. And it was so different because it was a feeling, like you feel that. It's not just something you hear with your ears. And that was a real aha moment. Like that's what I want to be a part of. And yeah, so that's probably more of an answer than you were looking for. But there you go.
Now that's very cool, and I kind of do relate because I just recently started playing bass. I got into it back when like year 2000 ish, but
Cool.
only just got around to it now. But it's yeah, you definitely feel that a lot more than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's awesome. And you got the new song Imminent Redemption that just came out recently. What's the story behind the lyrics with that one?
Um, well, a lot of it, I only speaking for Perry. I didn't write the lyrics, but as I understand it, it's a lot about the idea of the sort of relationship between a personal redemption, like the idea of sort of making peace with your own human story in the greater context of what he believes is a coming age of redemption. Like we're heading as a globe, on a global scale, we're heading into an age of redemption.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, because lyrics for me, big thing. That's honestly, that's kind of what I listen for second to the music itself. And it's, still one thing that I notice is like it really sticks to your style, how it's been for the past, what, like 30 years
Mm,
ish?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's absolutely great song.
Well,
And yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think it definitely has. a particular energy that, I forget who, I think it might have been Stephen that coined the phrase, Stephen Perkins, but he said, like, I feel like we're making the third Jane's Addiction record.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. And now your guys' tour is starting in just what, 2 days in one of my favorite cities in Las Vegas. So how excited are you to get back out on the road?
Yeah, I'm stoked. I'm stoked because also too, not only, with the sort of uh, love for the band and crew that we have and just the great vibe that exists there, but also because we're going out with Love and Rockets, and there a couple of them are actual friends of mine. One is somebody who I see really regularly, Kevin, the drummer, Kevin Haskins. I love the guy and have for decades, and I met them all when we opened for them on our very first proper tour. Like, we made our way in bits and pieces across, the sort of Pacific Southwest, excuse me, and made it out to Texas. I believe was like we
Oh,
played maybe a couple of shows with Iggy, if memory serves, and then we made our way up to the Northeast, and then jumped on Love and Rockets tour. They were touring their record Earth, Sun, Moon, and we opened for them. And that was the first time we were actually doing multiple dates, opening for someone on a sort of official bill, kind of.
that's awesome. And now I know you guys are coming to Houston, so I will be there.
Cool.
So it'll be cool to see you guys, because I never got to see you live back in the day just because, my parents would not let me go to rock concerts. So they're
No,
cool with it now, though. But,
good, good. I thought I would
yeah.
call for you. I would make a phone call if they weren't
Oh,
cool.
yeah. Totally. So, I mean, going back, like, we could have done like a billion other things. What made you want to join a band specifically, though?
No, I mean, I think that really, um, you know, I know it might sound kind of flip, but I think that really I was inspired by, obviously, loving listening to music as a fan of music, and it was all a sort of world of wonder to me. And one of my best friends was like his father was a classical guitar player and a junkie and just like a cool guy, and like he played us David Bowie and all this stuff like really early on. And anyway, so I was really inspired, but I think also ultimately it was about trying to figure out how to get the attention of women. I mean, of girls at the time, because it was really like the list of things for like a sort of nerdy, shy, uncomfortable guy to do is surf and play in a band. And
Definitely.
I do both those things, and I did both those things. I don't know about the degree of success in terms of getting the attention, but anyway, that's a separate point. But they just are the coolest things to do. Yeah,
Yeah,
still.
definitely agree with that. So, you guys being from LA, I did mention I was out there last month over at the Whiskey, actually, which was a
Wow.
lot of fun to just be where so many icons have played. Now, like I said, y'all got started in '85, but you have that like iconic grunge sound, which kind of was a little bit early for the time, right? So why did y'all decide to go with that sound?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I mean, it's interesting to hear you call it grunge, because I don't, I mean, I think that it is in the sense that one of the, I think, services that we provided in that first iteration in like 1988, and this is based on reporting from friends of mine, multiple friends of mine, is that we were the bridge band that sort of we had Dave and Steven who were very metal, sort of like in the middle of metal. And then you had Perry and I who had no metal really. and who were in this other alternative music area, you know, of the Joy Divisions and the Velvet Undergrounds and New Order and things like that. And Dave and Steven's metal playing and stuff really enabled people who were in proper metal to go, what's happening over here with this other thing? Like, okay, there's a guy up there in a corset with a bunch of dreadlocks and a guy with like blue hair standing next to him who looks like he's in a different band. But you know, but that guitar player can really shred, and the drummer is killer, and you know, so we enabled some of those rock people to get introduced to maybe a little left of center kind of music experience. And then after us came the whole wave of the Nirvanas, and that was just a huge wave that was much larger than we were, you know. So
Right.
yeah.
That's awesome. You have a favorite song to play live?
I do, and I would say that probably it's one of the favorite physically for everybody, and that's the song Ocean Size.
Oh.
And it's because it's a song that is sort of mid-tempo, and it gets really huge and then goes away entirely and then comes back and then goes away entirely. So there's all this sort of ability to jump around and then stop and then jump around, and you know, it just lends itself to being a really fun, you know, fun physical experience on stage to play.
Oh, that's always awesome. You gonna play that on this tour?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. That's so cool. So, you know, obviously, I know, you know, Dave was a host on Ink Masters. How did that help the band out? You know, did it give you more publicity, with him being on TV?
Well, I'm sure it did. I have no way to measure that, but I will say that it was striking for me, you know, because I was in the band at the start. Then I was not a part of the band. Then I came back in and then gone again, and now I'm back. And during that time, I watched the progression become like, I was struck by when I came back in like 2010 or something, 9 or 10. Um, it was Dave that was by far the most famous guy. Like,
Yeah.
he's the guy that you can't walk through an airport without being, hey Dave, hey Dave, Dave, Dave.
Right.
You know, like he's the like craziest celebrity in the band. But and it's
Yeah.
definitely that yeah, he's the highest profile. So I'm sure that brings us some attention.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now I know like each of y'all have like a different stage look on stage. I did notice though, like Dave kind of wears a particular tank top, if I'm right, the black one. Which is funny because actually my fiance actually has the same one, the exact same one. I was like, oh wow, that's interesting.
Nice.
Yeah, you have any crazy show stories, anything that's happened that just like wild and out there that you can remember?
Nothing really that comes to mind immediately. I mean, it's obviously you can imagine. It's a little bit like saying, "Tell me your favorite album of all time" or something. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
there's been so many, and so many still to come. So maybe we'll have to double back on that question. You know?
Sweet deal. No
Yeah,
slowing down for you guys, huh?
yeah, yeah.
That's awesome. Now, you guys obviously you have merch, right?
Hmm.
Which obviously that'll be out on the tour, but do you guys have a website, say like for those people watching or listening that, you know, maybe are in Europe or, you know, and can't get access to these shows this time around?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that we have. It's funny that I pay so little attention to this, I guess, but it's just at janesaddiction.com, you know,
Mm-hmm.
is where that kind of stuff can be accessed. But let me check. I'm pretty sure it's janesaddiction.com. But yeah, because we're gonna do some new merch. We were talking about it the other day. Um, let's see. Yeah, yeah. JanesAddiction.com will get you there
All
to like
right.
tour dates and
Cool.
all that, and yeah, and merch.
Sweet deal.
Yeah.
And now y'all are on Facebook and Instagram. Have you guys hit it on TikTok yet?
No, I mean,
Really?
probably our team has, or some of the
Uh-huh.
other guys may have, but for me, that was almost like one social media app too far for me. Like, because the reason why I got on Twitter back in like oh eight maybe or oh seven, I'm not even sure, like somewhat early days, is because I thought I can't imagine how that would be interesting. Like, but like I wanted to also stay sort of in touch. Like I don't want to be an old guy who just like, talks about how great 8-track tapes are, and how
Oh,
the kids
yeah.
don't understand. So I involved myself with it sort of as a student of culture, like what's going on, what does
Uh-huh.
this look like, and so I got caught up in it, and I did that, and then I went along with Instagram, that
Mhm.
iteration. I did a little bit of Facebook, but now it's just sort of in the wake of Instagram, and
Sure.
but I thought, okay, so now the next step is TikTok, and so I downloaded TikTok, set it up, and I was just like, yeah, I can't really get myself into this, like I think I might be finding the edge of my social media interest, but
Hmm.
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because I always find it interesting because that's actually honestly how I discover a lot of like newer bands.
Mm,
Is, they're really putting out like the videos and everything and, really pushing their music. So maybe some Jane's Addiction TikTok in the future.
yeah. I think we're there. We have some. I think our social media guys, they do that.
Oh,
Just me personally,
totally.
am not there.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I'll have to keep a lookout for you guys for sure. But okay, so I always throw in just one random question to end things off. Do you have a favorite movie right now?
Wow. Wow, God, a few jumped in up. Let's see. Zone of Interest is amazing. Let's see. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood came up. I mean, that's
Oh,
that's years old now, but I think that's brilliant. But oh, you know what? Actually, a kind of obscure documentary that a friend of mine made that's amazing. It's called
yeah.
Flipside, and it's about a record store called Flipside that's in a small town in New Jersey.
Oh, cool.
But it's like this crazy other story that it's like funny and all that, but it's also like one of those really rich experiences about being a human being
Oh,
and
wow.
trying to make a thing in the world and everything. And it's just a really, really, really great. I just watched it for the
Cool.
second time 2 days ago.
Nice.
But yeah, flip side.
That's
That's
awesome. I'll have to check that out. Is that like YouTube, Netflix, or?
um it's I know it's on streamers. I bought it just
Okay.
to be supportive, but
Oh,
but
cool.
I think it's on like you can get it like on Xbox and I think Amazon Prime, and
Okay.
yeah, it's out there if you look
Right
for
on. I
yeah.
will definitely have to check that out. Thank you, Eric, so much for your time. I will see you actually probably in next week.
Right.
I
Okay,
think
cool.
y'all are coming to Houston. I want to say it's the 12th,
That rings a
12th or the
bell.
19th. Yeah. But yeah, I'll hopefully be the one photographing in the pit. So, 'cause I do
All
that
right.
too. Yeah. Now it'll
Cool.
be great to
Get
see
well.
you guys. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time again.
Of course.
And yeah, I'll see you out there.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks.